Hey there guys, I'm Paul from the Quad Bros. Kyle's behind the camera today, and I'm going to be teaching you how to set up the TBS Gemini. This is a learning view. Okay guys, so there's two things you can do when you receive your TBS Gemini straight out of the box. One, you can put all the components together, put the covers on, put on your receiver, put on your video transmitter, plug a battery in, and fly it right out of the box. Or you can plug a micro USB into the TBS Colibri, connect it to the Tau Labs GCS software on your computer, and run all your PID tuning and calibrate the flight controller. I'm going to show both of these in this video, but I'm going to start off with the short way to get it in the air. Okay, so the first thing you're going to notice when you get the Gemini out of the box is that there's 4 canopies, but when you set them on the Gemini, they don't stay there. They don't clip in or anything. But what you're going to notice also is that there's 6 magnets on the frame, and you're also going to receive a metallic strip with 3M tape on the side in the Gemini box. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to glue the metallic strips to the inside of the canopy in order to match up with the metal on the frame so the frame will stay there. There's included glue that you're going to have to use to glue to the canopy. Now, a trick to do this is to put tape on the canopy when it's lined up on the frame with the magnets so that you know where to put the metallic strips whenever you're connecting them to the frame. Now, this shouldn't take but 10 or 15 minutes, and if you want a more in-depth look at how to do this, there's a picture on the TBS manual, and we'll have a link to the manual in the description below. So your next step after you put all the metallic strips on your canopy and made sure that it lines up well on the Gemini is to bind your receiver to your transmitter. Now we have the FrSky D4R2 receiver and the FrSky Taranis. So the steps to do this are to plug in a servo connector to your receiver to get power. Then you have to hold down the little bind button on the receiver. Then you turn on your Taranis, put it into bind mode. Make sure that it's on D8 mode and not D16 mode, and then press bind, and it should bind almost immediately. Now the Gemini works with any PPM receiver, but this is just the one that we happen to have. Next step after you bound your receiver to your transmitter is to plug it in with the included PPM cord on your TBS Gemini board. Then you're going to want to lift up the board and place your receiver underneath it so that it doesn't move around when it's flying. If your receiver's too big to fit underneath the board, you can flip the Gemini over to the other side and either Velcro it or sit it underneath the battery when you're flying the Gemini so that it doesn't move around. Okay, so your next step after connecting your receiver to the Gemini is to put your covers on, put your propellers on, screw in your VTX, and then you're ready to fly. Now if this is all you want to do and you're ready to fly the Gemini straight out of the box, then go fly. If you want to run the tunings and the basic configurations in the TBS Colibri software, then plug in a micro USB cable to your computer and download the Tau Labs GCS software. The link to that will be in the description below. So the first thing when you open up the software is you need to plug your Gemini in, and then in the bottom right hand corner you will see that it's receiving, transmitting, and receiving signal to the board. Next you want to click on your vehicle setup wizard and follow the prompts that it gives you. Make sure to remove all your propellers before starting. Now you can upgrade your software, which is recommended, but you don't have to. Then confirm that it's the Colibri board and click Next. Next, choose your type of receiver and move on to the next step. Then you're going to have to choose the next button and pick that the Gemini is a hexacopter and then move on to the next step. The next step is to pick your ESCs. You pick those and you click Next. Then you'll click Next through this page. It's just telling you all the options that you've clicked. Then you'll have to calculate for the board. It'll finish up pretty quickly and you can move on to the next step. So the next step is to pick where your motors are at their neutral point. So move this slider up to where the motors are spinning like they normally would and then press stop. Click the next button and do this for all 6 of the rotors, and then you can move on to the next step. Then you're going to save your configuration. Once you save your configuration, a radio setup wizard will pop up. Now the factory radio settings are actually very good and they produce a very stable image when you're shooting video. So if you want to stick with shooting video, then don't change the factory settings. If you do want to change the factory settings, you can go in under the radio setup tab and put in your suggested PIDs however you want them to be, and then you can move on to the next step and page through these tabs to see how your Gemini is configured. If you want to change anything, you can change anything. but the factory settings are all very, very good. Now the next thing that comes up are your modes. There are 3 different modes. ADI mode, which has barometric pressure support for the throttle. The second mode is a mix between ADI mode and manual mode, and the last is rate mode, which is an expert manual mode. So that's how to set up the TBS Gemini. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button. And to see more content on the month of minis for the rest of December, please subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching, and we're going to leave you with this. I think you